Hey guys, welcome. My name is Dane. Just here to share another target individual testimony, something that I've experienced. And this one was pretty wild, how it was all orchestrated. And my point to all this, I guess, would be, it seems like these lies that we're fed are then backed up by what we experience. I kind of spoke about this on another video, but I just want to give you like a specific testimony of how this kind of played out. And it was like super elaborate, and it really threw me off for a little while. It's funny, I get a lot of people in my comments, oh, this guy's fake, this guy's a fake target and all this. It's like, to be honest, right now I don't experience the gang stalking anymore. Like, some of you are familiar with my other videos, like, I preach Jesus Christ as a way out, the word of God, like, I believe in it only because that's been my experience. And like, I know the only reason I'm a Christian is because I found out that it's true. And through my gang stalking, like, I realized, like, Jesus' protection from it, Jesus' freedom from it. So I've submitted myself to God and I follow him now. Like, I work in full-time ministry, addiction ministry, and I've ran across a lot of people that have been through the gang stalking deal, and in person, that I've been able to, put on game that it's spiritual, and I've seen people heal from it because it's very traumatic. I mean, it shakes everything that you are and know about the world. Like, it doesn't seem to fit in what you believe about the world or what's possible, right? So, I mean, for those who think I'm a fake target, I don't know if it's because of the way I look or because I speak about God, but those things aren't going to change. And I don't know, like, I guess when I was using drugs, even, like, I'd have people like, oh, this dude's a cop type deal. I'm like, dude, I got track marks on my arm right now. I'm dope sick. Like, but I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It's not really discouraged me. It's just funny to me that people can't recognize, like, a genuine person. Like, they can't tell real from fake. And it's like, you go through this experience as a target, and it can make you so, it can turn you into exactly what they're trying to do, to make you just a hateful, spewing forth just anger and rage, and make you skeptical of everything. Like, and it's like, okay, it's good to be careful, right? But, like, I would gladly have a phone conversation with anyone that genuinely wants to vet me or whatever. But, like, moving forward, this is just the start. I'm gonna post pictures of what I looked like. When God really called me out of this, like, I was a mess. Like, you think I'm like some sort of plant or something. It's like, dude, I came from nothing, and I'm just sharing my testimony and the things that have helped me. Because I found victory in Jesus' name. So I wasn't planning on getting off into a whole rant about that, but that's just something that's on my heart. So I'm going to share the actual story. So this video might run a little bit longer, but this is a crazy story. It's like, it was one of those things that really kind of convinced me. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? But I was kind of believing lies. And at the time, okay, I'm just going to set the scene. This is like, probably within the first few weeks that I noticed, like, the hand signaling and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't know what it is at this point. I have no idea that it's spiritual. I'm not thinking that at all. Like, I think it's the area that I was in, because it happened when I was hanging out, like, on this drug scene, basically. And so at this time, I've noticed the people hanging out, watching, and, like, on this block, it was like a square block, you know, in downtown Seattle. And it was like, there's basically like tents lined up, and then there's businesses around, all this stuff, right? And so I noticed the hand signaling, the people coming, showing up, and like hanging out, watching. Seemed to, like, as soon as I started asking people about it, is like when I felt like the focus kind of like shift towards me. So like now these people were like signaling like in reference to me. It felt like, I'm like, okay, what the heck's going on here? So I started asking the people that I like knew, you know. I'm like, what's up with these people hanging out here, like signaling each other, like watching, and just like none of them are coming over and using drugs. They're just hanging out, like, and these were supposedly like homeless people and stuff too. And like I never really met any homeless people that aren't on drugs, at least in Seattle. So yeah, so I started asking these people, and no one will, like, it's like when I ask about it, they get all weird and like they don't want to talk about it. It's like they would just shut it down, like, I don't know what you're talking about, or like they would try to play it off like, oh, you're tripping, all these things, right? And then a couple days later, this gal, she comes up to me. I don't know her, right? Haven't talked to her. So she's like small talking, and then all of a sudden she said, hey, by the way, you're not crazy. I see them too. And I didn't bring this up, so I don't know how she knew I was even asking anyone about this. But she called them the baseballers, right? And I shared a little bit about this in another video, but I'm gonna go in a different direction with this. So I'm like, yeah, like, what's up with the signals? You know, no one will speak about it. And she's like, yeah, she's told me what some of them meant. She said, like, this meant, like, heads up, cops are in the area. So there was, like, they were, like, validating what I was experiencing, you know? So, like, she's the first person that really would speak about what was going on. I'm trying to find answers for it, because I figure this is just, like, a logical thing. Like, I'm just noticing it, and I'm like, what's going on here on this block? But it was strange, right? But part of me was drawn to this, right? Because I'm like, what is going on? This is so weird. I'm not realizing how big this thing is, because this is just the introduction of me, like, seeing it and experiencing it, right? So obviously I'm confused, as you guys can relate to if you've been through this. So she starts talking about it, and then I go, wait, like, I'm like, why are they, like, what's the point? And she told me that everything out there was videotaped. And then I'm like, okay, that kind of is believable, because people are knowing stuff about me they shouldn't, right? And it seemed really staged. Like, I'm just like, okay. I don't really know any better at this point. So I just kind of, like, it didn't really make sense, but it kind of did. So I was like, okay, maybe. I kind of just put it on the back burner. But what she really did was she got me to focus on these signals, right? So think about that. It's like, so now I'm on this block, and I'm noticing all this, like, and like where your focus goes, like, energy goes to that, you know what I'm saying? So it's like they're having my attention, and I'm getting sucked into this, like, slowly. I'm not realizing this at the time, but now I can see. It's like they're like almost like taking me out of, like, what's reality, and like sucking me into this little game they're playing. So a couple days went past, and you know, and I'm seeing the signals, right? And I'm starting to, like, kind of understand what some of them mean through a series of events. Like, people kept doing it. Like, they would do stuff with their pockets, right? They would be like, and I figured out that when someone's doing that to you, it meant like someone was gonna try to come take your stuff. And, like, so they would sensitize me to certain motions, and then, like, reality around me would mimic what they're showing me on the signals. But this sounds so crazy, right? Like, you can't tell people this. Like, even, like, only if you've been through this, you can understand maybe like what I'm saying. Maybe not even that, like, right? But you can't tell, like, oh, the signals, right? And so, yeah, I'm gonna tell you how this played out. I'm gonna go a different direction in this because I'm already at 10 minutes. I'll tell the next version of this story, but this is how they set me up with this. So they showed me that, and like for a couple of days, dude, I'm like swatting people away from my stuff. Like people are like coming from all over trying to steal my stuff, and then like there was one day where they're signaling to me, and I'm just like, I'm not paying attention to you guys, right? Like I'm done with you guys, right? And then my stuff actually did get stolen, like, and so like it was like I was kind of like forced into this game now. It's like they wouldn't let up. Once I started paying attention to it, it's like I couldn't really get away from it. And so basically, gosh, I kind of have to tell the whole thing. Okay, so yeah, a couple days passed, and there was an ambulance that went by with its sirens on, and this dude that I knew a little bit, you know, I'd been around him a little, he goes, hey, like straight to me, he goes, hey. He said, this is the signal for the ambulance. He's like, when you see the ambulance come by, go like this. And again, like no one's talking about this, so I'm like, everything that I learned about this, I had to pretty much like assume, or someone would tell me, but I realized when they told me something, it was to mislead me, you know, or to get me further in this. And so this is the crazy part. So this guy, he goes, this is the signal. I go, hey, I'm like, yeah, signaling. What's up with that, dude? No one will talk. And this guy had so much to say on the spot that it was believable. And he goes, okay, yeah, so check it out. He's like, this whole street block is like a Monopoly board. And he started going off. He said, the guy over there that's flying the sign asking for money, he's like, that's free parking. He's like, that's a space right there. He's collecting money for free. He's at free parking. And he said, each one of these tents is like a property on a Monopoly board, because people are coming there to buy drugs, sell stolen goods, prostitution. And he said there's real money involved. And there's moves you have to make on this board. And so this is what sucked me into the signaling even more. And so he goes, the guy in the middle right there, he said, that's the mayor. He's the one that starts the signals, and everything plays off him. And so, like, basically what he was telling me was, like, this guy in the middle is running this whole block. And his signals dictate what actually happens in reality. And he goes, yeah, and he's like, we need to get the right players in here because there's money to be made. And he's like, the cops know about this, right? And it's like, and it seemed like that too, because the cops didn't do nothing. Like, I saw some dude like smoking meth in front of a cop, and he looked at him and didn't even say like, what are you doing? He literally just walked by him. So like all this stuff it was crazy. So he's rattling all this off so quick that it's believable. And he's like, it's just like a Monopoly board. And what's crazy is like there was a hospital on one corner, there was a jail on another corner. Like everything just lined up with what he was saying. And it seemed just like that. Like the signals were running this block. And so this is the thing, man. When these people are working with these spirits, they're all connected, right? And if their target is you, they can manifest reality around you to make you believe lies. And so, like, this almost got me hurt, right? Because for the next couple of days, I'm like focused on the signal because I'm trying to make some money. Like, I didn't know what this was at first. I thought this was really happening. And so they conditioned me to these signals and started showing me what they meant. And so through these guys, and I know this sounds crazy, but this is what happened. Through these guys doing the signals, they led me over to this tent. And so I'm outside of this tent. They directed me over there. And I'm watching him, and he gives me a head nod, and he looks at the tent, and he gives me like the signal I was talking about, like, go in there. And I was like, I pointed at it, and he said, yeah. And they weren't talking to me. It was like all through like signaling. And he like just kept going like this, like, you know. And I go in this dude's tent, right? Because they've conditioned me, like, they're like, basically, if I follow the rules on this game board, I can actually make stuff. I can make money. I can make moves on this board, right? So I'm gonna make a part 2 for this, but so I go in this guy's tent, and like I see a bag sitting right there, like a paper bag, and I look in it, and it's got like smokes, it's got like I think some money in it, and it's like a bag full of stuff that I'm like, oh crap, I'm like, this is actually like it's real, right? So as I'm like looking in this bag, I hear, hey mother, and like this dude is screaming, right? And I'm like, oh no, right? So I turn around, and this guy is like running up towards me, like pissed. And he's like, what are you doing in my tent? And so I'm like, oh man, so now I'm in a pickle because this guy's pissed, and I'm literally have his stuff in my hands. And so he comes over to me, he's like, what are you doing, dude? What's going on with you? And I'm like, I'm pissed too, because like they basically told me to come over here and do it. Like I thought this was like free game, like. And so they just hung me out to dry, because I'm like, dude, how long you lived here? And so he tells me, and I'm like, okay, you know what's going on. I'm like, they told me to come over here. He's like, who? I was like, the guys with the signaling. He's like, what the are you talking about? Right? So it's like mad crazy. And so he's like, where do you stay at? And I pointed down, like I was just down we were up the hill from where I was at. I said, that tent right there. And so he went down. This is like, it gets more weird. Like it gets really weird. So he goes down to my tent neighbor, and he's talking to him for some reason. And then after he talks to him, the dude comes up, and he's like nice to me, right? And he's like, hey man, just listen, like if you needed cigarettes or money, like just come ask me, right? And I was like, okay. I was like, I apologize. Like, obviously I'm wrong. Like, I'm going through this guy's stuff, but I really thought it was okay. It was weird. It was like, this is how quickly it happened. Like, I'm already thinking, like, going into someone's stuff is okay because, like, these people told me it was. Yeah, so I leave there, and I go back down to my tent, and my tent neighbor was telling me, he goes, hey, I'm the block boss. Like, I'm the block boss, right? And I go, okay. And he's like, so he's like, I don't care if you go on that guy's stuff, but just tell me next time. He's like, just let me know what you're trying to do so that way I can have a heads up. And I'm like, okay. And I said, so how are you the block boss? Like, what's your job here? So like now I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And he goes, why, you want to join? And I said, and when he said that, it's like my spirit was like, no. And I go, join? You guys won't tell me nothing. Like, everything that I found out is like, I pretty much have to figure out for myself, and everyone's making me look stupid out here. Like, I almost just got into a fight because, and I started explaining it, and I go, okay, what's your job? And dude says, he goes, oh, I've been in construction for 10 years. I said, no, dude, what's your job on this block? You're the block boss, right? Like, what's going on here? And he just like smiles all creepy. He's like, I know what you're asking. He said, I'm trying not to tell you. And then just goes like, whoosh, like slinks back into his tent all creepy and like zips it up. So yeah, that's what happened. This is just like the initial start of, you know, all these deceptions and things that they're feeding me. It gets even deeper with like the Monopoly board, right? That I'm gonna do a part 2 of this. Comment on it if you want to see the part 2, because like it gets even crazier. So yeah, God bless you guys. Talk to you later.